I hope you're all doing well. So, I'm just going to walk through some of the features and how to program them. Um, just because, so I put some videos on the main drive, the CISTERN drive. I think it's in one of the folders in 3D space or 3D research, whatever. But basically, the features that you see in those videos, the ones that like have the UI with the moving images, the zooming in, the zooming out. So I'm just gonna maybe share a couple of videos that explain kind of the programming part of that so that you guys don't have to struggle figuring out, oh, we want to add more features like this or we want to expand on this feature. Where do we even start? So, yeah, I just wanted to kind of show like how that happens and also kind of, yeah, I'll also just like kind of show like where the variables are and everything. Um, just to do that. It is very easy, honestly. It's very repetitive type of stuff. To initially, it was kind of difficult figuring out how to do some of the things like sliding to the left, sliding to the right, zooming in and out. But um, yeah, but after hopefully, seeing this video, it'll be a little bit more clear, and you could basically figure it out and know like what to model exactly in order to do something. And obviously, you don't need to know exactly how to do this. Obviously, the code is already there, everything's already there. It's more just like knowing where the code is, and then you could see, oh, okay, so this is how the code looks like to do this. So let me just do that again right below it to do another zoom in or zoom out or whatever. But anyways, right now we are in game 3, so this is a simulation, which is like kind of like a meditative experience. It's taking you through like a city and different parts of the city, and basically how there's a video that you could watch. I recommend watching that before, that shows the entire experience. This is moving, so basically, so I'm not going to go through that here, but what I will go through is um, how I coded that up. So basically, you have a canvas. Basically, yeah, in with the canvas you have um, these are all basically just different images, and the way you do that is just you go here, you go to UI image, and then you drag whatever image you want into this. So like for instance, region spark. So once you create an image in your canvas, and obviously you want the order in over here in the hierarchy matters, because that's like how it's going to be layered and how you're gonna like go deeper inside. When you know open up all of these kind of pages, as you could say, or images or scenes, whatever. But yeah, the order here matters. But also, so once you create a UI image, you just go here and drop your image here. But remember that these images, they're not just JPEGs. You have to convert them into. Let me see if I could do that. If I like, open it, yeah. So I'm not gonna like get another image, but basically, here this when you drag a JPEG in here, like it will be like a JPEG. It'll look a little bit different than this with the arrow on the right. But all you really have to do is initially it's gonna be like default or normal map. All you have to do with that image is make it a sprite 2D. That's basically it, and then you're good to go. So once you do that, then you could drag that image, now it's like a sprite, into the kind of like source image box. And so that's how you get your images, and that's important. And then they're set, they're all good. Now you want to attach a script called meditative experience. I mean, the script is there, so I mean you guys could see it, but basically now how all of the things work. So initially it's basically just a big loop in the update that just has a timer. I mean, it looks a little bit complicated right now, but you'll see this code is very repetitive, and really, if you understand how to, if you understand like what the first bit here is doing, like right here, not even this last if statement here, but just the first 3 right here. If you understand what that's doing, then you're gonna understand what everything else is. Is basically, and you could just see by glancing at these if statements, there's a timer, right, that we're updating in this update loop. And since this is like a hands off experience, the user really doesn't have to do anything. So basically this timer is what really triggers all of the things to happen, what questions are asked, um what and everything. And so what like you see these booleans that are turned to true, And then you also see these booleans reappear in different if statements. So that gives you like a hint, like it's basically like kind of like a lock, like, oh, once the simulation, once you're 112 seconds in, make this variable true so that this action happens. And basically these bigger if statements, basically what they do is they just slide the images to the left or the right out of the scene, as you saw in the main video for the experience. So that's a general overview of like, this looks a little bit daunting, but or maybe not, I don't know. But honestly, like, it's basic. The whole premise of this like a script is that there is a timer that you start from 0, obviously right here. There's a timer, and you have a bunch of like these variables that are just basically just booleans and that say like, oh, okay, when the timer is, when you're 45 seconds into the experience, then turn this true so that this will happen. Oh, then when you're 52 seconds in to the experience, play the second audio clip or something like that, so something else happens. So that's it's not really that complicated, to be quite honest. I mean, it's just really like having a timer and knowing what variables to switch and everything. But once you figure that out, so I'll just go through an example. Or first, I'll just go through these first variables first, and then I'll go through one example, and then once you see that, and then experiment with this code and like maybe change variables around and see what it does, then you'll know exactly how this works and how to add to it or make a new game that does something similar, like a new experience or meditation thing. But anyway, so yeah, I was talking about like booleans. These basically booleans, what they do is that in this update loop, there are a bunch of if statements, and obviously like you want things to happen after another, but you don't want once something goes into an if statement, like you probably, unless it's these bigger ones which are moving the images to the right and the left, where if you want to create that visual aesthetic that it's sliding, you have to do it many times, so that in small iterations, so that it has that sliding effect. That yeah, you want it to probably run for some time. But like there are certain things like when you want to play an audio clip, like for instance, after 52 seconds you want to play this second clip. You don't in Unity you can't keep pressing the play. If you keep pressing the play or like doing the play command on a certain audio clip over and over again, then you're just gonna have a bunch of audio clips spawn, and it'll be like one over another, and that's not good. So a lot of these if statements you'll see is like they do an action and then they convert a boolean to true or false. I think most of them are true, and the reason why is so that it doesn't go back into this if statement again, because obviously this update loop is running all the time. So a lot of cases you only want things like, so if you ask a question, for instance, you only need to like change the question that's attached to the text once, and then but you don't need to keep doing that. So that's why like this not asked question, there's a list of booleans here for which questions have been asked and which ones have not. So basically all this does is that all this variable does right here, my bad, I'm highlighting this one, no, that's to change it the first time it goes in. But this one, once the timer is after 85 seconds and ask question 1 is like false, that's when this will be true. Then it converts this to true, so that the next iteration it doesn't go back in here, because this will always be true for like after it gets into this, but then this will be false. So it's basically like, a switch that enables an if statement to run once and then never run again. And so I think that makes kind of sense. I mean, like, I think that's the easiest way to do it without getting into a lot of complicated stuff that probably you don't really need. So anyway, that's what a lot of these booleans are. They're basically like, oh, did you open the center, like open meaning like did you like slide to the left or the right? I forget like exactly what I did. You have to watch the main video of the experience. But anyway, that's what most of these do. The game objects, these are actually for these variables over here. So I think there are 4 of them, the 4 images, right? And then with the script is attached to the canvas, by the way. You have those variables and basically you just drag them in. So you have those 4 images of the 4 different places, or the map, and then the 3 different places that you're gonna visit in this experience. And then you have the question text, and the text again is like the questions that are being presented on the screen for the user to contemplate. So that's that. And here's, question text. These are the list of questions that they're gonna ask. Again, like you'll see how this is used. If you want to add more questions, just add them here and then append them. But yeah, let me just see a quick example of the questions. Yeah, so question text. So that's this main question like object. You're saying dot text. That's the field that represents the text equals questions 3. So that's just saying like after 175 seconds at this specific point in the experience, you go in and you want to ask the fourth question, right? Because it starts from 0. The fourth question here. And yeah, so very, very straightforward. And you'll see that throughout, this script. And of course you could add more, whatever. So that's the questions, Again, these Booleans right here, this list of Booleans, it's the same exact effect of this. It's like once you ask a question, and what do you mean like ask, like it once you like have the code run once that says, oh, change the question to this, you don't need to keep doing that. So that's why these variables are here, so that it'll those if statements, they check those variables, and then obviously you'll switch them to true, but not true equals false in some instant in the if statement. So then it'll make it false, and then when this is looping, it just won't go back in here again. It'll only go in once. Oh wait, this is for audio clip. Probably this one is a good one. So change the color here. You don't have to do that. I don't know why. I think I did that because one of the images was like very dark. I used black, but yeah, that's, you guys can figure that out. And then yeah, the last set of variables are just the audio clips. Again, the audio clips are here. Very easy to add to your Unity. You just basically use voice memos, convert it into an MP3, and drag it in here, and then you can create is audio part of UI or no, there's the audio, and then you just create audio source, and then similar to the images, instead of dragging an image to this object, like you drag the like the MP3 file or whatever into this little thing over here. But anyway, so yeah, then that creates an object for a game, and then the game object.find. You could make these public game objects and like drag each one in, but it doesn't really matter. It does the same thing. You're only doing this once anyway, so you could do game object.find and that'll be fine. And then again, you see these Booleans. Again, this is just so that once you hit the function or do the function like dot play, it doesn't do it, keep doing it again, right? So that explains it. I think like most of it, like I think you might be getting the gist of like how this is working. It's like, okay, there's this timer right here. It starts off at 0, and then in the update loop you're just adding it, and then it starts off like here, and if not played first clip. Remember, initially that variable is what? False. Not played. Yeah, it's false. So not false is true. So then you go in here. It plays the first clip. First clip dot play. And first clip, remember, it's the scheme object that's attached to that. And then you set this immediately equal to true, so that the next iteration, it doesn't go back in here. You already hit play. The audio is going to be running then. Then, this update loop just basically runs for like, 45 seconds or something like that? 45, yeah. And then once you get here, open central London equals true. Now, what is that variable doing? It makes this true. Before it was false. Now it's true, and then it does this. And basically, I'm not going to go into too much detail about like every line here, but basically what this code does, and you get to see, it basically uses the rect transform position of the map and makes it slide to the left, I believe, or right. It's in the video. I forget if it does it to the right or the left, but yeah. But it basically takes the position of the thing and basically slides it to the left in a way that looks like it's like kind of rolling to the left or the right. I'm just gonna assume it's going to the left. Debug.log, that I mean, this is when I was debugging this. And then yeah, these things are tricky, honestly. Go on Unity to see how to set these, and in another video, in the second one I'm going to create in this, there's something tricky about how much you could set these offset max, offset min positions. And again, these relate to, let me show you, these relate to left, top, right, and bottom, because you see if you edit these, no, let me do it with this top photo. Yeah, see how it's kind of stretching when you edit that? And then I think, yeah, so this is, you're moving it right, and then when you do it enough, it's like all out of the way. So basically that's what these like things are doing, these. So it is a bit tricky, but honestly, like it's, if you just say like go on like Google and type in like how to set the left right, left top right bottom, you'll be able to figure out how to actually kind of maneuver those. But yeah, I mean, and also, I mean, to be honest, you also have this. I mean, you could just copy these, and like you could just like see like in the experience like which one does what. You don't even need to Google it. Never mind, forget about that. Just like when you look at the experience, just say, oh, okay, when it was the first transition, oh, it moved to the left. Oh, so this side moved to the left. Yeah, okay, so you could just model it off of mine again. So that's the cool thing about, you know, not doing that. But yeah, and then yeah, the reason why this is here is so that it just, once the whole map is out of the way, or image, it just destroys it. It sets it active to false. You don't need it anymore, not for this experience, and then it moves on. So yeah, that's basically the gist of what this does. But the thing is that once you destroy it, again, this variable is set to false. So this is actually going to run probably a few hundred times, you know, to have that effect of it rolling, you know, because this is actually a small number, this -5 in comparison to the space of the thing, of the the image. So it's going to run a bunch of times. That once it's past a certain point, you're going to turn this to false, because then you don't want this to run anymore, and you're going to destroy it anyway, and it's going to be out of the way. So then it has the same effect as these first two while loops, but in this case these two are only running like once, whereas this one is running two. So you could tell, like, basically the main way of how this works is that you have a bunch of booleans that you set or unset that really control what things are being run in this update loop. And once you figure out that concept, the rest of it will be fairly easy. I mean, the functions are very easy. I mean, you're just saying like play this audio, you know, make the question, like change the text. You're not doing anything complicated. The hardest part is like sending this, but even this is like basically, I mean, you're just changing the like way the image is so that it looks like it's like rolling, panning out, or sliding, or whatever. So yeah, and then after this is done, you know, then when the timer is greater than 52f, so you know, at this point, you know, in between, let's say, I don't know, 50 and 52 seconds, there'll be a period of maybe 2 or 3 seconds, I don't know exactly, that nothing in this loop will be running, because remember, we already ran this. The only thing that will be running is this timer plus the timer that's always being updated. Like, this won't be running because remember, this was set to true. This won't be running. This, remember, we set this to false. So then there will be a period of 2 seconds where nothing is really running. But then once the timer is greater than 52 seconds, then, you know, the next thing starts. Then, okay, play the second clip. And then ask this first question, right? I guess at the beginning there were no questions being asked. And then, oh, okay, then ask this question. So, you know, there it is. That's basically how the flow of this code works and everything. And yeah, basically in terms of like where to put this code, again, it's in the canvas. There's a mouse lock script. I already created that script. Basically just add it to any game that you create that contains a canvas and that needs you to move your mouse. You know, if you really want to know what it is, I mean, you could look at it, but honestly, I mean, basically all it does is like it unlocks the mouse, because every time you switch scenes, the mouse locks. So yeah, make sure to add that script. Obviously the script I just showed you, that was called meditative experience, but yeah, add it to the canvas, and then, you know, all the public game objects just drag here, and yeah, the audio clips are here. And yeah, I think that's basically the main framework. And guys, you could really go far with all of that. So yeah, hopefully that helps.